Hey everybody, it's your buddy Hyperdrive, and welcome to the 11th episode of Hyperized. And we're gaining some traction here, and I've got a really cool guest today. You've probably seen him at conventions. He goes all over the country with his really awesome art. His name is Stephen Moore Art, and I put my money where my mouth is. I have several of his awesome drawings. These are a couple from the most recent convention. Steven, jump on board and say, hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's good to be here. It's going really well. Good to see you again.
It's always a pleasure. I'm such a huge fan of your work, and you're usually the first person I sniff out when I go to these places, and it never disappoints. You've got some great artwork.
Well, I appreciate the support, and it's always good seeing you and your buddies and getting to catch up from time to time.
I know I had another buddy who I met there. His name was Sam, and he had a daughter, and I think they each bought some artwork from you. So I know it's once people see what you're doing, it just translates so well. The character selection, the colors, it's just a really awesome brand of artwork that you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the word of mouth. I mean, it certainly helps the awareness get out there. And yeah, I mean, several people have just stopped by from, hearing about it from other people. And, that's all I can ask for.
So you've got this great style, and it's somewhere between cartoon and realistic, and maybe even a little bit of anime popped in. And I'm gonna put a whole portfolio of your catalog instead of my ugly mug for this. So we'll get down to a little bit more detail. But how did you get involved? How did you start? Was it a hobby, or what got you motivated to do this professionally?
Well, honestly, it was just a matter of being in the right place at the right time, I guess. I mean, prior to last year, I'd never really considered it an option to be a professional artist. Um, Growing up when I did, art wasn't really seen as a viable career path. I grew up in the 70s, so,
Yep.
you're expected to do something meaningful and productive with your life. And, art wasn't really, you know, the vehicle to do that.
Right.
So, but I've drawn my entire life. I mean, I don't have memories before drawing. I've been drawing ever since I was able to pick up something in my hand. And you know, fortunately, I had a family that was very supportive of that. And my grandma, she even let me draw on her walls with crayons and whatever. She never got mad. They're just always really supportive, and so it's been a part of my life,
hmm
my entire life.
And so, when did you make the connection and crossover into Star Wars art?
Well, just like with drawing, I don't have many memories prior to drawing. I don't
Right.
have many memories prior to Star Wars either.
hmm
Uh, I was 6 years old in 1977,
Yep.
which I think is the perfect age to see Star Wars for the first time,
Yep.
and it blew my mind. Of course, I think like everybody, you hadn't seen anything like that before. So yeah, I mean, 1977, 6 years old, Star Wars comes out, and then it's a part of my life
hmm
for the rest of my life, and I don't really remember anything prior to Star Wars. So it's just always been one of my main loves. My
Yep.
main interests. Playing with my friends, we played Star Wars. I collected the Star Wars figures. Obviously, I draw a lot of Star Wars stuff. It's just part of who I am,
hmm
and so it just seems really natural that that would be what I take into the professional realm, if you want to call it that. Um, yeah, I don't. I draw other stuff,
hmm
obviously, but Star Wars definitely has my heart, and that's the thing I enjoy drawing the most.
When I was a kid, I was enamored with Star Wars from day one as well. And I was just telling somebody recently in a conversation about I started building dioramas out of shoe boxes. And you'd get a pair of shoes, and it was great because it came with a cover. You could put the cover over the diorama, put it away for another day. Did you have that light bulb moment when you were a kid where you said, I can, this is my format? Did you start by drawing comic book panels, or was it more like just freehand stuff, or what was your inspiration behind how you developed your style?
Well, I'm not totally sure how my style developed. It's just how
hmm
I draw. But I will say, I have another friend. Well, I have several friends that we grew up drawing Star Wars together because obviously, my friend group was heavy into Star Wars. Uh, One particular friend, uh, I remember we'd spend summers just drawing together, and there wasn't one specific comic or book or anything that inspired it. But if you remember back in the well, all comic books have this really. They have the little, I forget what you call it, the little logo that goes up in the top left corner
Sure. Yeah.
with
Yep.
the price and the name of the company. And
Yes.
well, the Star Wars comic books had that, and they had a picture of Luke Skywalker holding a lightsaber.
They sure
Well,
did. Yep.
well, my friend and I would just draw that over and over and over and over again, and eventually that morphed into, let's take this Luke Skywalker, turn him into somebody else from Star Wars. And so that iteration, started from a very basic, little drawing from the corner of the comic books, and eventually, the more you draw, the better you get, and eventually you come out with a style, and really, all style is just how you draw. I mean, I know a lot of people want to develop a certain style, but in my opinion, if that's not how you draw, then it's going to be hard to make that your style.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I don't really aim to do anything specific with my style. It's just how it is. And
I just, you were telling me that story about drawing the upper corner of the
Mhm.
Marvel comics. I know that Luke Skywalker very well, and it really does. I can see the influence when I look at these. When I look at your style, it's very much. It would translate very well into like a postage stamp. It looks almost like a beautifully designed postage stamp. I wish the postal service would hit you up and maybe do some Star Wars stamps, but
yeah,
I can see that influence for sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What a cool way to start. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I will say, specific to my style is, like you said. I mean, you pretty much captured it spot on when in your first description of it. It is a very cartoony style, which that's almost out of necessity.
Mhm.
I don't do photorealism very well, so this cartoony style is kind of what my abilities will allow in one sense.
And what is your medium? So I watch you on Instagram and I see the sketch. You do a black and white sketch, and of course I'm always enamored with that. And then how do you get those color gradients? You have this great color palette, and all of your colors are so smooth, and it's just this really beautifully executed fading in and out of different colors. How do you achieve that?
There's not really too many tricks to it. I mean, generally the first sketch I start with is either, well, I used to almost always draw by hand on paper with a pencil.
Mhm.
And that can be copy paper with a 2B,
Sure, right, yeah.
2 pencil. And for years that's all I did. Of course, now with technology, I can start on my iPad with just a really rough sketch, or start on my computer. I've got a drawing tablet that I can sketch on, but it really just starts with that very rough sketch.
Mhm.
Of course, the technology allows that to be a little easier than having to draw and start over with paper.
Sure.
But yeah, it all pretty much starts with a sketch, and then usually what you're seeing, the black line drawings. I usually take my sketch, and then I'll finalize the sketch using an ink pen,
Okay.
and that's kind of where my style starts to happen. With the ink pen, it's a combination of a couple of things. I mean, the ink pen allows me to get quite a bit of variety in the line variation, the line widths and the thicknesses, and the light lines and the heavy lines. And I think you can see that in my style. It's very much dependent on that variation in line weight. Uh, but also part of that comes from, I'm getting older, so my hands aren't as steady as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So those lines aren't perfect. They're very uneven, shaky at sometimes, and I kind of lean into that. I feel like it gives them the personality.
Yes, for sure.
And also on top of that, I'm pretty impatient, so I tend to draw very quickly, and that coupled with the instability of the line itself, it just kind of, I feel like it gives it life to the drawing, and then again, but that's just how I draw based on those my impatience and my shaky hands.
Sure, yeah.
That's just how it comes out. But I will say, it is cartoony because of that. But like you pointed out, I do try to add not realism necessarily, but I am very much interested in the details of a drawing. So if you see me draw an X-Wing pilot, it's going to look like a cartoon version of it, but the helmet's going to be super detailed. It's going to have all the gear. It's going to look almost exactly like you would expect it to if it were real, but it's not going to look real.
I am looking very forward to that X-Wing drawing, by the way. I can't wait to add that one to my collection.
Yeah, I just finished it this morning. So.
Oh, excellent. So, go ahead.
As far as the coloring you were mentioning, again, it's just I hate to say it because I don't want to give young artists the wrong idea.
Right.
Like, I'm kind of impatient, and so I don't get real crazy with the coloring. It's all pretty basic, but it's all mostly done on the computer.
Okay.
Which the computer allows you to get more of those blends and gradations, and but anything I do in the computer is achievable in traditional medium.
Right.
It's just more difficult, more time consuming.
Sure.
But you don't need fancy equipment to do what I do. So there's really no tricks to it. It's just part of the ability of the tools that I'm using.
I don't think anybody would argue with the results because they are beautiful and stunning. And when you walk down, traditionally, if you haven't been to a big Comic Con or a show recently or ever, typically there's what they call kind of like an artist gallery or an artist row, and there are several artists who are in one general area of the show, and I always gravitate to that first because you never know what you're going to find. There's always some really interesting craftspeople and artists who are there. And while I enjoy everyone's art, it takes a lot to reach for your wallet and put down money on a piece of art, because you start thinking about, well, what am I going to do with this? Where am I going to put it? Is this going to go with my decor? And yet when I see your work every single time, I say, I don't care if I don't have a spot for it. I'm going to buy it. It is so fun and interesting. And it just, there's this, like you say, there's a life to it. And many artists bring their own flavors and life to their artwork. But in particular, yours, it sort of reaches out and grabs me by the shirt and says, hey, you can't walk by me one more time. You got to buy me. And that's a real trick, because I think that for whatever reason, your artwork really speaks to me and what I like. And from what I can gather, I think that, a lot of people are starting to feel that way about your work. There's quite a bit of traffic by your stall. And there's a lot of engagement with you. And I think that shows that you're really starting to become a popular artist in the community.
Well, I hope so. And I appreciate all the love and support that I get from everybody. I mean, you included, and, I've done a few of these shows now, and I'm starting to see people over and over and over again, and we become like friends. I mean, you and I hung out at the bar the other.
That's right. We sure did.
We just chatted. So But there are several people that tend to come by, and we've developed a rapport on a personal level. But yeah, it started because there's something in my art that caught their eye, caught their attention, you know, I think hit their heart in some
Yep.
way, and then that gives me the ability to have the opportunity to engage them on a personal level. And, that's been probably the most rewarding part of all this to me, is the, the connections I made with people and the friendships that have started to develop because of that.
Well, I think also it's not just the way that your art looks, but it's the spirit that you capture of each character. And I, in particular, love the Wampa. I have an entire bedroom. It's
Yeah.
called the Wampa bedroom, and everything in it is sort of Wampa themed. But I have to be very selective about it. You just can't put
Right.
55 Wampas in there. It has to be something special. And this particular one, this Wampa picture is near and dear to me. This is, I think, might be my favorite piece of yours. And the fact that you did it with only one arm is so interesting. And it's just this great interpretation of the Wampa that you did. And that's what you're bringing. That there's a lot of Wampa art out there. There's a lot of things like that. But that one is funny. You got the bloody stump. It's a great piece.
Well, like, are you actually in Star Wars if you didn't lose a limb? I mean,
Well, that's a
there's
good
so many characters, and I don't take anything seriously. I don't
Mhm.
take myself seriously. Everything, is not that big of a deal, and so I like that to be reflected in my art as well. I mean, that's why it's probably more along the cartoony side.
Mhm.
I mean, there's tons of heavy art out there, the
Right.
photorealistic stuff, and it's great. I mean, there's so many artists out there that do amazing things with their art. Um, I like to keep it a little on the lighter side,
Mhm.
um, and so I think that's where a lot of that comes through. Um, Try to give them a little. I mean, that's why they all have bigger heads. Their proportions are weird. It's there's nothing serious about my art, and I want that to come through.
You've also done some other great pieces are your non-Star Wars characters. For instance, oh, my battery's running low here. But for instance, there are many characters like Buzz Lightyear that you've done that are really great. So how do you select your characters, and how do you say, okay, this is the next one that I'm gonna do?
Well, there's not a lot of mystery to that either.
Yeah,
I mean, there's like an infinite number of characters you can draw for Star Wars,
sure.
and so I've created a list. I've just anytime I think of a character, it goes to the list, and then I just start going down the list. I will say what I've done so far with the work you've seen, Star Wars related.
Hmm.
Um, it's been very specific to the cons I've gone to.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So the 10 Star Wars prints I had at Rebel Scum Con last year, every one of those characters, the actor that portrayed them was in attendance.
Great idea.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to have something of mine available if people wanted to buy that and have the person, the performer, autograph it for them. And I
Right.
had several people that did. So that has kind of driven uh, the selection process to this point. Once my con season is over after Rebel Scum Con this year, I'm hoping to get into having some time to draw some more of the more popular characters. Like, I don't have a Darth Vader yet. I mean, I've got to draw a Darth Vader, So that's next on the list. But then, yeah, I'll just start going down the list. And obviously, there are characters I prefer to draw. Um, I don't feel like I'm great with human likenesses, and that you really want you really want your drawing to look like the person it's supposed to look like.
Sure.
So those are really challenging. So you'll notice pretty much every Star Wars drawing I've done to this point, with a couple of exceptions, is either a creature, an alien, or they're wearing a helmet. So
Oh, right, right. Well, you
Avoid
know,
the faces.
I gave three of your prints to my sons for Christmas this year, and two of them I went to visit. Two of them, they have an apartment. They're all in the Navy, and I went down to visit them. Two of them who have this apartment, and I walk in, and now they didn't have frames because Lord only knows, they're young guys. They haven't thought about picture frames yet, but there they were. There was General Grievous and Tonwi on the wall. As soon as you walk in, it's in their living room. Of course, they're kind of like crooked and everything,
Right.
but I'm like, but the point is that they loved them and they put them in the immediate area when you walk in,
Oh, nice.
and so I think that that's kind of a cool testament to your work. Kind of translates. And you're right. As now that I think about it, you're right. It's been creatures and helmeted characters and things like this, but let's be real. Those are the most popular, awesome ones to draw, anyways, right?
They're the ones I like, and
Yeah.
also I like the secondary characters. You know,
Same.
the little
Same.
guys that are off in the background that you only see for a split second. I mean, those are
Oh
the guys
yeah.
I like. So I tend to gravitate towards those kind of characters, and you know that's
Yeah.
just how it's turned out so far. I'll get to the others eventually, but you know that's how it's going for now.
I'd say that you seem to be hitting homers because every single time you release a new one, I'm in line reaching for the wallet again, right? So just your character selection is awesome, and
Well,
uh, and your execution is just superb. So yeah,
well, I appreciate it because it is hard to sell art. I
yeah,
mean, not just for me. Every artist has a hard time selling their work,
sure,
and I mean, like you said, it takes a lot to, or there's a lot that goes into the decision to purchase someone's art.
yeah,
And it's not lost on me that that is a big consideration because it is for myself as well. I mean,
sure,
you can be interested in someone's art but still not buy it.
yeah,
And I mean, I have so many artists that I admire and love their work, but you can only buy so much stuff,
right.
and you don't have room for everything. Like you said, it may not work with where you want to put it. Um, so yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, and that's why I'm so appreciative of anybody that does take the time and the money to invest in what I do. It's very much a special thing to me.
Well, it's worth the investment, at least from where I sit, that's for sure. And I was so happy when you agreed to come on because I said, I don't have a huge show here, but if there's anything I can do when I see a really interesting artist or creator or world builder or something like that, I want to document it for posterity, if for nothing else. And I think if I can promote your awesome artwork to any extent, I would be happy to do so because I think more people would really, really find your stuff cool, and I'm hoping that's what this does.
Yeah,
So
me too.
yeah,
I've got a couple more appearances, and I'm hoping, the more exposure I get, the more people see my work,
oh
and
yeah.
it just grows from here.
So we're about to call this one a wrap. So in the last couple of minutes, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to have people know about, or any announcements or anything?
Well, I do have a couple more shows coming up before the end of the summer.
Okay.
I'm off this week, and then the first weekend of August, I'll be appearing at Bell County Comic Con, which is in Texas,
Okay.
just between Waco and Austin. It's not a Star Wars specific show, so I'll have some of my non Star Wars stuff there as well.
Hmm.
Um, and then the week after that, I've got Rebel Scum Con in Frisco, Texas, which
Right.
that's kind of my home con. I feel like
Hmm.
they've been really good to me, and it's been a great show. We have a lot of fun there. Um, I do have a couple of things that I'm pretty excited about for Rebel Scum Con. There's one thing I can't talk about yet because I don't think it's been announced. Uh,
I
but,
understand.
but once you get to Rebel Scum Con, it'll be obvious.
Okay.
But then also I got another project with a friend of mine, Josh Phillips. He's at Star Wars Joshua, uh, and he has allowed me to come in and we collaborate on his enamel pin set that he
Oh yeah.
that he produces and is going to be available at Rebel Scum Con. And we've just developed this great working relationship together. And so that has been announced, and he and I work together to design a set of pins that will be exclusive to Rebel Scum Con. And I'll have one at my table. He'll have several at his table, and then multiple other vendors within the con will also have individual pins as part of the set. So that's always fun. It gets a lot of people, interested in what's going on around the floor, because you have to hit all these different locations to get all the pins. And so that's always a fun thing for me to do. It's kind of drawing, but it's more design. And I enjoy doing design work. I mean, you can kind of tell from the art that I create that I'm also kind of interested in graphic design. I mean, my art has a very graphic feel to it. It's not,
Yes.
There's not complicated backgrounds. There's not, it's very simple and kind of, I guess graphic is the best word for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, doing design work on the side also helps me to kind of scratch that itch, if you want to say that. So, but yeah, that's coming up. Rebel Scum Con, August 7th through 9th. I've got Bell County Comic Con, August 2nd and 3rd.
All right.
No, I'm sorry, August 1st and 2nd. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to track down those pins because I'm a bit of a pin collector myself. So yeah, it is fun. It is fun, but it's stressful too, because you're running around trying to find the pins,
Yeah,
but
it gets addicting. And
yeah, for sure.
yeah, there's a ton of people that love what Josh does, and I'm thankful he allowed me to be a part of that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of letting everybody see what we've been working.
Oh yeah, man. Okay, well, that's it. I'll be tracking down those pins for sure. That's for sure. So
Awesome.
well, hey, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to edit this together and put all of the really cool artwork that you're doing here, and we'll get you out there. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll see each other again in the future.
I'll be there. You got it. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye. You bet.